Okay, welcome back, everybody. Of course, the first thing we're going to do is a little bit of review, and here is, I was cleaning cabinets this week and just come across this picture by Janet Fish and thought how timely that I should run into that this week. I hadn't saved it specifically for you guys, but it was there all along. So, Janet Fish, and to the right is not a watercolor. This is the first non-watercolor that I've showed you. It is called Impression Sunrise by Monet. And I just wanted to put that there for you for inspiration, because tonight we're going to do seascapes. And it doesn't have to have boats in it, but my husband on the way up said, is it going to have a boat? And I said, well, no, I hadn't planned on it, but here's how easily you can just drop a couple boats in. You see, they're just the suggestion of a boat with somebody standing on it. So you're welcome to do that, although we won't be doing that officially in the class. I wanted to review composition again, because I just find it so important, and tonight it's going to be especially important to keep in mind some of these things. Always it is. There's an exception to every rule, right? What else? Cropping. Variety.
Stay away from the edges.
Don't kiss the edge.
Avoid the corners.
Avoid the center.
Think in thirds.
Think in thirds. That's especially important tonight. Odd numbers. That's what we've done so far. And there's a couple more I want to give you for tonight. Watch out for poles or trees coming out of heads or other unfortunate lineups. You've all seen where somebody will say, I want to take your picture, go stand by that tree. Well, it looks like a tree is coming right out of the head. Don't do that. Have them stand to one side or the other, or next to the tree, but not right in front of. And the same with telephone poles or any other kind of vertical. And also, so avoid those unfortunate lineups. And then also, directional line. Oh, wait, I'm looking at the wrong week. Hold that thought. That was just an introduction for next time. Teach me to look at my notes a little better. They're simpler for tonight. Overlapping. And I remember when we did the glass that somebody automatically overlapped and it looked really nice, and now you know why. That's one of the guidelines for good composition, to overlap. I didn't want to complicate the picture by doing that with all of you, but overlapping does make for good compositions. And then back up and look at the whole. And that's what we do when we get up and walk around. Please feel free to do that at any time. Don't wait for me to say, okay, now is your chance to get up and go look around. Just go ahead and do that when you want to, because you will have a better composition if, before you touch paint to paper even, you stand up and look at it from a bit of a distance. Okay? Also, a couple things I wanted to make note of in discussing the class with my husband, and one is corrections. We've only talked a little bit about that, but if you make a mistake, sometimes the inclination is just to throw it out and start over. But there's, especially if you use good paper, and the heavier weight paper, even upwards of 140, allows for more corrections. The 90-pound watercolor, you can't do much to correct if you make a mistake on 90-pound. If you make a mistake on this 140 that we have, what you can do is wet a Q-tip or a cotton ball and press it to the paper gently, lift it out. You can wet it with a brush and lift it out with a paper towel, just a lifting to remove something, and then you can layer back over it after it dries. You have to be patient with watercolor sometimes to let it dry before you muddy it up, okay? And also, this is probably the most important thing I want to remind you of. I think we touched on it the first night, but not again since, and that is that you're really only just getting your feet wet. Some of you have more experience than others, and I'm really pleased with what you guys have done. But those of you who are new to watercolor, please, this is only 5 hours in for something that people will spend a lifetime perfecting. So don't feel bad if it's not quite up to where you thought it might be at this point, or if you feel a little frustrated, because really, you're only just beginning, most of you. Okay, and that does not apply to Susie or Jim or some of the others of you, but for some of you, I just wanted to mention that. It's really just such a very beginning, and it takes hours to master. Okay, any questions so far? Questions about composition or anything?
Well, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I was watching something on, some guy was painting, and the center was this, what he wanted everybody to see, and I thought, told us to not put it in the center.
Yeah, question about observing somebody painting mostly in the center. Was he very experienced?
Oh, yeah, he's on TV, so he must be.
Was it Bob Ross?
No.
Because I was going to say, he usually is more asymmetrical than
I
that.
think it's Brixton. But
Huh.
the sunset, I mean, it was right smack dab in the middle.
Well, then I would refer to rule number 1.
There is no rule.
There's an exception to every rule. There is an exception to everything. It's generally not a good idea to put something in the center. And I'm going to show you some paintings tonight before we begin, just to demonstrate that from Winslow Homer, who is, in my opinion, the best watercolorist that has ever lived. He's gone now. He was born in, I think, 1830-ish, somewhere in the early 1800s anyway, and lived into the early 1900s. But he was a master, and you won't often find things in the center on his pieces. Here is an example. Let me see about this, getting the light on the page. It's not showing up very well, is it? Does it show up better or worse with the shadow on it? Okay, well, that's a real dark picture. Let's try this one. Okay, that's a little bit easier to see. His thought in thirds, right? And the center, only thing there is a cloud. And here's another lovely seascape. There is a guy in the center, but the boat is off center, so the whole thing is kind of shifted that way. And here we have the Houses of Parliament. Down in the bottom third is the water, the middle third, the Houses of Parliament, but the tallest one over here, the sun way off center, and the boat off center too. So that's another good example. And also, notice the reflection of the sun on the water, or moon, or whatever it is. And here is what we're going to paint tonight, something along the lines of this simplified landscape, or seascape rather, just sky, water, and ground. And some of you might have done this before. It's always good to do more, and I've got several little postcards for you. Bless you. We're starting out with 2 in case you work slowly so that you not get frustrated. But I think Amy has a couple more for each person when you get done with those 2 and you want to get up. That will make you get up and have a look around too. Ha ha, there's method to the madness. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to start by painting the sky, and we're going to leave the white of the paper for the clouds. And the sky typically gets lighter toward the horizon line. It's not doing so in this picture. It's the exception to every rule thing. But I'm going to start with the sky dark at the top and then come down with water to make it get lighter toward the horizon. And then the water across the middle. And I'm going to drop some salt into my water just for interest's sake. And then the birds you can add pretty much wherever you want to. He was careful not to put them in the center here, and the sun is over here, not in the center. These birds, I don't know, can you even see the birds on there? Yeah. Okay, there's little bitty birds kind of dotting through the seascape here, and then the ground. So let me show you. I will do a demo, and it's quick enough if you want to just watch and then have at it, or if you're just itching to do it along with me, you can do that too. Here, wait a minute. trying to think what's the best way to not block the sun from the painting. Okay. And I'm going to open up a salt just to have it ready, because time can be of the essence sometimes. So, okay, I'm going to start with my Cerulean Blue, which is the sky blue color, and it lifted off from my plate, which is unfortunate because it's harder to mix what I want here. I'll put a little, I'm going to stir in a little bit of this cobalt blue that's right next to it. And I'm having some red handy too, just for interest. And I'll start at the top. And add water. Go back for more paint. I'm leaving little sparklers of white on the paper and then adding some water as it comes down. Went with a bluer blue, the cobalt-ish blue here. And I'll have that come down to the ground lightly. Clouds are very often flat on the bottoms, so I have this one kind of going straight across. Okay, and then I'm going to take some of the purple for my water. You can use the purple, you can use Payne's Gray, whatever you want to do. Get a little more water in my paint. And the paint will be, it's below the halfway point on the paper. And if it bumps up into the sky, I'm good with that because it's going to make it look like maybe there's some waves. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of salt into, oh, I poured out a lot. Good thing I'm using my hand. Into my wet paint there. We'll see what happens. And then for the beach, I'm using some, I didn't put any brown out on my paper, on my palette, but I've got a brown on there. I'm going to mix some yellow. I think that was just a mix, kind of an accident. Mix some yellow in to lighten it up a little bit.
What was that color initially on the sea?
The sea was the purple. And I'm going to drop a little bit of beach grass by just taking my greens, dropping some green in, and then I stroke upward, pressing pretty hard with my brush, the end of my brush. Let me do that again. Okay, and a little hop over here to this side. And again, with the end of the brush, I just kind of draw upward some diagonal-ish strokes loosely.
What is the purple?
The purple is the water. The violet?
Yes.
Yeah. And then
What's the separation between the sky and the purple?
there was no separation. It's actually blending right there a little bit. I don't know if you can see it,
So it
but
looks white to me.
yeah, I just came down with pure water. I put the blue at the top,
Yeah.
and then I added water and pulled it downwards.
Okay, it looks like there's maybe a band of gray between your cloud and the water.
Yeah, that's just a light blue. It's just a light blue that was still in the water. And then I'm going to take some of that Payne's Gray and put a couple birds. I was going to do it with the end of my brush, but I'm going to use the tip of the brush instead. Now that has to be dry before you can put the birds in, obviously. And that's the end of my seascape. Short and sweet. I'm going to do another one. You guys can either watch or paint along. It's up to you. Because that's really all we're doing tonight. So I'm going to start another one. And I load up my brush with some blue. And then I put some water in it. I'm going to put a little bit of red in this sky. Just mix a little red in because I like to do that. Make it more dramatic. And then wash my sky down by adding just water, which is dirty water right now. I'm going to put a little more blue in over here. Now you can also have 2/3 of it be the water and the ground if you want to. You don't have to do 2/3 sky like I'm doing, but got a storm cloud in the background on this one. And I'm going to use a Q-tip and lift that a little bit. Cotton ball would be better, but I didn't have it handy. I have it right over here. Yeah. Cotton ball blot. And a very dark sea. Bye, Rihanna.
What shade of purple do we like for the ocean?
I think there's only one purple in our set. Didn't know you'd be using the end of your paintbrush for painting, did you?
Oh, yeah. It's, good for making grass.
Yeah. And I had an odd number of birds in both paintings. Oh, forgot salt. Probably a little late. Yeah, my water got too dry before I put the salt in, so it's not going to salt up. Really like the way the light is hitting the salt crystals in that one. Did your kids all give up the ghost?
They have another program they have to get to tonight, so we're gonna take them to fly back.
Okay. Huh. I don't know if they even did one.
At least we haven't had one yet.
Okay.
Like, we used to this first.
Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is all we're doing for tonight. I want you to practice and practice. And the postcards are great to send to faraway friends saying, hey, look, I'm doing a watercolor class. Having a lot of fun. Hope to be famous soon.
Please send money.
Please send money, yeah. Here, I sent you a painting, now you send me some money. Yeah,
Hers is really nice.
that's very nice. You got the salt in the sky. Your sky is pretty too.
No, I like this.
Oh, you got different colors, that's very
Yours is
nice.
just like strange art.
I mix
Make it like
blue and
grassy.
Cool, looks good.
How did you do
I just, while it was wet, I took my end of my brush and drew up
Like that?
strokes like
So
that.
it's probably everyone got this?
Yeah. Lovely.
I don't tell him about this class, but I said, did the geology, I said, so how do you, I said, they told us that they were awful dark. So I sent you pictures of the three things I did. I said, quite kiddish, but oh, no, they're not. Yeah, that's just like the teacher out there on table play. Let's see, oh, yeah, the sky looks good.
I have that one too.
See, still some of this.
After you have done one, it would be a good time to get up and walk around and look at everybody else's. You got some lovely green in that sky. That's really nice. Oh, I don't think it's messed up. Looks like it's
Something
down.
so clear, you look down 20 feet to the bottom.
Lena, that's pretty.
Yeah, what's the best angle of the sun?
Well, the cloud on this side, the picture, clear over here, and it's almost a straight line. Going down. They have it composed, so it's in the middle. And
Doug, can I take on you a minute?
sure.
What are those?
I want to,
No,
no, just something I haven't really explained. Okay, I'm gonna pick on my husband who did this one. The colors are very light. So the greatest contrast is between the clouds and the birds. So that's where your eye is gonna look first. If you want people to look at the sea, make the sea a little bit darker. Maybe he wanted everybody to look at the birds. The sea would be a little bit darker. I think maybe you don't have maybe quite as much contrast between the sea and the sky as you might want. If you take a look at the others as you walk around and see what you think. You might want to go a little bit darker like that. It's pretty though. Some grasses are extraordinary. Anna, did you do that with the end of the brush?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, no, I use this brush.
Okay, smaller, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it didn't look like the,
Yes, yeah, oh, yeah. It's a little dark, but I can.
I love the grasses, that's my favorite part. Okay, I wanted to show you what our final painting will be, this is a pixelated version of it, so we're gonna have better ones for next week, but we're gonna do this painting next week, which kind of pulls together all of the things that we have done. It's got some sky, some overlapping, which is the compositional rule that is for next week. And it's just a real lovely, this is a Winslow Homer piece called The Blue Gate. If you like to spend a lot of time drawing ahead, feel free to go online and draw it, and Amy will probably let you take a piece of paper with you if you want to draw it ahead of time. Just make sure you bring it in to paint on then. So anybody that wants to, or maybe you want to work on it tonight if you.
What was the name of it?
Winslow Homer, The Blue Gate. That's what we found it under, wasn't it?
We Googled that, this wasn't the title. We Googled that and it came up. A lot of blue boat ones came up, but it's the
It's
Blue Gate,
the Blue
nothing
Gate.
came up, so I'm not 100% sure.
Well, let me look in my phone because I wrote down the exact title. A Wall, Nassau, 1898. That's the official title. A Wall, Nassau, as in the Bahamas, 1898, by Winslow Homer. So compositional rules again, exception to every rule, variety of size, shape, etc. And Doug, yours, we're looking for a variety of value rather than just two main values. You want to maybe have more. Dominance, cropping, odd numbers, don't kiss the edge, so don't have your birds too close to the edge. Think in thirds like a tic-tac-toe, avoid the center, have some overlapping, back up and look at the whole.
What was the name of the painting that we're working on next week? I wrote Winslow Homer, she says
A wall,
a wall?
a wall,
Really?
Nassau, a wall, comma, Nassau, Nassau,
Okay.
Is it,
and it's by Winslow Homer. No, it's,
Winslow Homer, is it, that's what it says.
Well,
Does
they
it-
probably
does
had
it
one
have-
of them. The one she showed us had like palm trees.
it's got this little child in it, which we don't have to have, but,
So weird.
well, it's a generic title that somebody probably made up after he was dead. He probably didn't title this piece.
Did you say you have it on YouTube?
We do not.
One of Edward Hopper's, he called it early morning, and somebody added early Sunday morning to it.
Oh, there you go.
You fixed the title,
Yeah,
but he called it early morning. But there was no cars on the road, so he
right.
So what's the second one?